Have you ever found yourself yelling at a screen? Use your magic, you idiot! As a sorcerer or superhero fumbles through a problem they could easily solve with the flick of a wand or a snap of their fingers. If so, welcome, you're not alone. This is a universal frustration when characters with amazing magical or superhuman abilities conveniently develop sudden amnesia about those powers just to keep the plots moving. It's like watching a firefighter forget about the hose in his hands while a building is ablaze. Come on, dude, you have one job. We've all seen this plot hole brain farts, and today I'm diving headfirst into this absurd trope. This will be a rant about the times magic users and superpowered characters completely forget they have powers. Let's start with one of the most face-palm-worthy examples I can think of. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the books, not the film, our favorite bookworm witch Hermione finds herself trapped by a deadly devil's snare plant. It's a life and death situation requiring light or fire to escape. Hermione, the brightest witch of her age, panics about not having wood to start a fire.
What? What the fuck?
Ron just about loses it and shouts, "Have you gone mad? Are you a witch or not?" This line is exactly what I'm ranting about. Girl, you literally can conjure fire with your wand, and you're worried about matches? Ron's frustrated shout speaks for all of us screaming, "Use your magic, Hermione!" But seriously, how do you forget you're a witch when a killer vine is choking you? Chalk it up to panic, I guess. In The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King film, Gandalf spectacularly scares off the Nazgûl by blasting them with a beam of light from his staff to save Faramir's troops. But then you wonder, hey Gandalf, buddy, if a flashlight spell sends these flying death riders packing, why aren't you doing that every time the Nazgûl show up? Even Sir Ian wondered that. He jokingly asked Peter Jackson about it, and Jackson said that Gandalf used up all the batteries. Such a dead joke. The extended edition even breaks Gandalf's staff later to justify why he doesn't laser beam the Witch King again. In the books, there's a lore explanation about Battle of Wheels and timing. But come on, we know the truth. The truth is, if Gandalf went around zapping ring wraiths like mosquitoes, the war would have been too easy. And we can't have that, can we? Speaking of powerful magic going MIA, how about magical items that vanish from the plot? In the Harry Potter universe, there's the Time Turner. That little necklace could rewind time and literally fix so many problems. But it conveniently gets locked away and never used again after book 3. Hey, maybe let's Time Turner Voldemort into oblivion. Nope, because that would solve things too well. Plot says no. Or how about the Chronicles of Narnia? The kids get all sorts of magical gifts. Lucy's healing cordial, for example. Yet, in the heat of battle, sometimes they just forget. Characters in fantasy often possess a Swiss Army knife of powers and then act like they've lost the damn knife unless it's dramatically necessary. It's like a D&D player who keeps forgetting they have a potion of healing until after the party nearly dies. And of course, we can't forget magical world-building conveniences that vanish. In Sailor Moon, Usagi had a disguise pen in Season 1 given to her by Luna that lets her transform into any disguise. Useful, right? So useful that the writers promptly forgot it existed in later seasons. It shows up maybe once more as a gag when another character borrows it, but otherwise, nope. Usagi also used a supersonic cry in one episode and then never used those powers again. The list goes on and on. Wizards forgetting spells, witches ignoring their potions, heroes not reading from the all-powerful grimoire sitting in their backpack. If I listed every fantasy character that checks their magical brain at the door, would be here all day. So let's move on to another genre rife with this issue. One where magic goes by another name and often takes a coffee break when convenient. Nowhere is forgetting you have superpowers than in the world of superheroes. These folks have freaking superpowers, yet they routinely fail to use the right one at the right time. In theory, Flash could solve almost any problem in a picosecond. He can move at 100 times the speed of light and do wild tricks like facing through walls or even stealing speed. And yet, Central City's bank still gets regularly robbed on his watch. Why? Because he apparently forgets he can literally be everywhere in an instant. The comics explain this by saying he holds back because if he really cuts loose, he would break the world or himself. And sure, that makes sense, but sometimes it's just inconsistent writing. The only reason any villain stands a chance against Flash is because he habitually forgets he is the freaking Flash. Martian Manhunter from the Justice League is another serious offender. This dude has a power set that makes Superman look basic. He's got super strength, shape-shifting, telepathy, and crucially, the ability to become intangible at will. So what happens in the Justice League cartoon when they fight Brainiac? The team gets captured by Brainiac and they struggle way too long until Manhunter finally goes, "Oh right, I can just face through things and slip out. How do you forget you can ghost through solid matter?" He is the king of this trope. Why are you staring blankly at incoming attacks you could avoid by facing? It got so bad that even the writers seemed to notice and toned it down in later seasons. And don't even get me started on Superman himself. How many times have we seen Supes get electrocuted into submission despite being pretty much invulnerable just because the plot needed him temporarily out of the fight? Even outside cartoons, this happens in live-action superhero films. The TV show Heroes had a character, Hiro Nakamura, who could stop time and teleport. Basically, an Omega-level power mutant. Yet Hiro always forgot he had such an amazing power. Heroes was infamous for depowering its characters to prolong the drama. Peter Petrelli, who could absorb every power in the show, might have been the worst. He frequently forgot that he could fly or turn invincible whenever it would have resolved a conflict in 5 seconds. The writers basically had to nerf these guys with selective stupidity, or else the show would be over by lunchtime. The Marvel movies have their share too. In Thor: The Dark World, Thor's mom, Frigga, had this awesome ability to cast holographic illusions. She uses it exactly twice. Once to chat with Loki in his cell, and once to fool the villain, Malekith, with a fake Jane Foster. But when Malekith realizes he's been duped, he goes after Frigga and she just stands there and gets stabbed to death. Hello, you can literally project a fake version of yourself anywhere. Why not do that again and avoid getting being murdered? Of course, the writers wouldn't want that. They needed her to die, so Thor would later team up with Loki. Frigga's death could have been avoided if she remembered her own trick. But nope, the script said die now, so common sense went out the window. How about in the Guardians of the Galaxy? We have Groot, who is absurdly powerful. He can regenerate, grow giant branches, and impale a dozen enemies in a single move. For most of the movie though, Groot waddles around doing very little. Only at the climax does he suddenly go beast mode and skewer like 12 henchmen in one swoop. Gee, that might have been useful a few minutes earlier. It's not just magic spells and superpowers. Sci-fi is guilty of this too. Yeah, I'm coming for you. Advanced tech and gadgets are conveniently forgotten. In the prequels of Star Wars, R2-D2 is shown to have rocket boosters that let him fly. R2 zooms around in Attack of the Clones, touching battle droids with built-in flamethrowers. He's basically an astromech. But flash forward or backward to the original trilogy, countless scenarios where R2 could have flown or used those gadgets and he never does. You see him crawling through swamps and hallways. The excuse is, oh, his boosters broke and the manufacturer stopped making parts. Stories upon stories. Why do writers keep doing this? Why create an awesome power or tool and then pretend it doesn't exist? The answer is pretty simple. Without this trope, a lot of stories will be over in 10 minutes. If you enjoyed this video, Give it a like, share it with that one friend who always nitpicks these things, and let me know in the comments which character's brain freeze drives you crazy the most.